Sleep blurs into wakefulness. You look down from a great height onto a craggy, dark landscape, lit with what looks like bioluminescent plants and pink, white, and blue neon tubes embedded into stone. To what you think might be the south, within a walkable distance, a mile perhaps, you guess, you see an electric pink and glowing cityscape surrounded by a thick, glassy wall. A not unpleasant smell of upturned earth and something herbal, lavender maybe, fills the air. You hear water moving and soft voices at range. Not the bibliomancer. It's a whole world that you've arrived at. You've had dreams before, vivid ones, recently in fact, but never one that felt so real. Was this what lucid dreaming was? Some discernible amount of time has passed since your trip to the bookstore. Time enough to be a little bit hungry, to no longer have the pleasant aftertaste, the most incredible coffee you've ever drunk. You remember the quest of finding the lost book, and you give yourself a once-over. You are confused, but not afraid. You also feel something that you haven't felt for a very long time. You are deeply curious. Each step you take meets some sort of otherwise invisible floor that finds you at the moment you need it. Even descending into darkness as you clearly are, your footing is sure. Eventually, it seems almost as if your steps anticipate your thinking, or somehow a glowing neon pink footprint extends out before you, guiding you on a path. You follow it, even when you try to fake it out, go against the direction of the steps. Still seems to lead you. Step by step, you eventually reach a rocky sort of beach. There is water bubbling up through the gravel beneath your feet. You look around you and see now what is almost a lagoon of sorts. People, beings of all forms, taking steps into tide pools, almost. Open air, sensory deprivation tanks, and various organic shapes and sizes. Some quite deep, some looking almost like kiddie pools. They dot and stretch out and away from the city. As you get closer, you see steam rising out from most of them, bringing to mind Iceland's blue lagoon, only the water here seems dark, but gleaming, not only with the fluorescent, phosphorescent light installed all over, but its own internal iridescence. Her fellow guests here are blurry again, as they were in the bookstore, but the noise tells you that maybe there's 20 or more enjoying themselves, passing time in these tide pools. You follow the glowing steps away from the busiest parts and toward the back, where the water and stone look more like ink and obsidian, respectively. Something moves in that darkness. A hood. A person. But a little too small to be a person. But creature, the being, hopped and slithered and moved like it was both snake and simian. Around the fabric where its wrist should be is something like a glow necklace. Your curiosity begins to move as fast as the pink footsteps beneath you, and you follow it, chase it, between vacant inkwells of iridescent water, like Alice followed the White Rabbit, till eventually there's only a massive cave wall, and nowhere to go. You both look at each other, like that Spider-Man meme, not sure who is supposed to move first, surprised at what you recognize of yourself in the other. Begin gently, asking, do you know what this place is? The voice emerges from the featureless darkness beneath the hood. Whatever you were expecting, it sounds kinder than that. Somehow the voice is wounded, clipped, in a way that clings and sizzles in your brain. But you gather it's altogether kinder because of that wounding. It's the soak. You repeat it back to them, trying to make sense of it. If you want to go into the city, you have to take the soak. No entry to infinity without a soak in the soak. You get a soak, they give you a pin. Everyone knows you're okay. You ask if it costs anything. It shakes its head no. You glance at the nearby pool, musing aloud if you should be asking more questions before diving into some unknown substance. It won't hurt you. I don't think so anyway. They just give you a moment to recenter, to relax. It's sort of hard to be in the soak and think all about your life and keep a firm grip on anger. I've never seen anybody get weird, and there's been hundreds, or at least not weirder. Mainly, I think it just relaxes you, asks you some personal questions. That's the bit I don't like. And then it decides you're not some murderous bastard. And you get your pin, and you're free to go anywhere you like in infinity. You absorb this and consider the possibilities given to you in a dream versus reality. You ask if this is allowed. Is this some kind of tracking? This new, ostensible friend of yours shrugs. Infinity isn't really about tracking, but you probably are better off asking someone who knows for sure. You ask if what happens in infinity stays in infinity, and are forced to laugh at your own joke, as the hooded figure makes no response. Then you ask again about the pin. It's got a real name, I guess, but it's basically the pin of okayness. You get verified. I could go in there, but Square doesn't doesn't just take a pin or steal a pin and avoid the soak entirely. That there's gotta be a way around the system. You could just fake your okayness. You could. Maybe that's happened. I've never heard about it. No, I want to get verified. I'm just not ready. You ask if it likes it here, and it considers this. Why wouldn't I want to go into the city? You look back at it again, and it doesn't elaborate or answer further. The silence is not awkward, though. The hood tilts to the side. I wanna be honest. I don't really remember why I came out here in the first place, or when. I just know I need some of my confusion a little bit longer. Some of my angst belongs to me. I'm not ready to hand it off. Say I'm okay. Get into the happy fun club. Not yet. Even if it doesn't make sense. There's something about this place that feels comfortable now. No pressure. If I was a planeswalker, I think I've forgotten how to do it. How to leave. If I wanted to. Maybe you do it. Maybe I'll be ready. More ready than before. Why do you want to go into the city? You realize your answer is patently absurd. You're chasing a book with no title, no author, possibly not even any words, into the darkness, in the hope that it was held by a man whose face you had little more than a fanciful description of. A man who looked like countless other men you've seen in your life. Brooding. What man wasn't in 2024? Not a sane one, you suspect, but this was the quest you'd been given. Hooded friend nodded gently. Sounds as reasonable as anything else. I don't judge. Around, there aren't really lifeguards. Just a few mildly more official-looking blurs at the gate. You ask if there's some sort of suit, or if someone is going to come and explain, or be in charge of all this. They just kind of expect you to know what to do. They don't really see it as their role to help. Consider. This friend doesn't seem particularly afraid. However upset they might be, however anxious they might be about their own life. The water looks warm. As you approach, it's lit ever so faintly, with a white glowing rim to demarcate it from the black of the rocky shores you've been walking on. Sea of tranquility. If this is a dream, you feel a little bit entitled to actually experience it. You ask what you need to do then. You just get in, just as you are. And then, I guess, something happens. business card and handed the business card from your pocket just in case, and lower yourself into the pool. The water laps gently over your clothes. You feel it reach into your skin as that first step sinking into a bath does. The soak hums suddenly, the water bubbling. You feel a pressure on your shoulder. It does that. It's all right. It's just figuring you out. You pause, arch your eyebrow. No longer all that sure about this entire operation. You're starting to think about work and your parents, the phone call you need to make. You should wake up and write a grocery list. And then a floaty feeling overtakes you. You realize as you turn your head slowly in a circle that your shoulders, where you hold the weight of so many worlds, begins to almost melt. You don't feel euphoria, not lost to yourself, just aware of your fingertips, your toes, every joint able to rotate and articulate in the water. And it is kind of nice. A voice comes into your head. It sounds half like this new friend and half like some deep internal wisdom. The book is an excuse, a MacGuffin, a device that drew you inward. It is as real as it needs to be. And while I have no doubt Amelia will be grateful if you somehow discover it, a literary needle in 100,000,000 haystacks. You are here for something else, something far more rewarding and personal. The soak is here to let you listen to yourself. You haven't done that in quite a while. Perhaps you've been scared, so take a deep breath. Because who knows what you might say if we really put an ear to your heart. Who knows what lines you might draw, what relationships you might sever or forge, jobs you might leave if you really listened to what you wanted and who you really are. Now breathe. Things might change. Monuments may topple. Fears may dissolve. Loyalties may shift. Something hidden may Emerge. You are braver than you know. Strange world before you, and you trust that somehow you'll find your way. That's quite extraordinary. They should be proud to have you visit the city. You are a traveler of the soul. You are tender, good-hearted. You make the best of some difficult circumstances. Bring caring to others, sometimes at the expense of yourself. Sometimes you are frightened to lose all of that if you spoke up about what you really need, who you really are. An adventurer, a sojourner, a seeker. You are more than you allow yourself to believe. We see that. And now, your story is just beginning. Things will change tremendously if you hear the truth and say it. Underneath what falls, the rubble, the gravel, and the stone, your happiest future will be found. So what is it that you really want? At the end of your journey, you'll be reminded of this. Hold on to it. It's a beautiful thing. Story about the story may yet be the sweeter one, because it is the one you want to tell. The voice fades, and for a few moments, quiet permeates your mind. You now feel the outline of your body again, separate from the warmth of the water. The water's gone still and silent, safe for your movements through it, towards the edge. As you pull yourself out of the pool and awkwardly upright once more, respect for your clothes to drip with the water, but as you emerge, everything of the soak seems to pull back and return, and you find yourself as dry as when you stepped in. Friend coils up next to you, its gestures displaying a very tempered but deeply felt curiosity. Hey, you feel better then? You nod, thinking that feeling better in this moment is as simple as just feeling more yourself, being as you want to be. And in this moment, that's true. A panel rises up from the stone, and with a click, a box emerges. sits inside a golden enamel pin with a bright, unmistakable, smiley face. You pick it up. The voice emerges again with a sigh. You know, when you're a planeswalker, you can go anywhere. You don't have to go to infinity. I hear it's quite boring, really. You sigh in return and mention that the book or the man you're looking for seems to be headed that way. If your pink footsteps are any judge. The friendly hood nods and holds its dark shroud of a hand to pause you. When you get there, ask about the librarian's son. In the far-off distance, neon throbs and glows. You can almost hear laughter, carnival noises, the thrum of a never-ending nightlife. It's not clear how many book readers live there. You ask, slightly bemused, if there's even a library in infinity. I hear stories, of course, that the librarian's son is a planeswalker. This is a prestigious thing in most places around here. Infinity especially. But the librarian is a dangerous man. Of course he is, he reads things. And his son has disappeared, and he hasn't found him. It's been long enough that even I heard about it. But maybe one of them knows about your book. They hand you back your card from under their dark shroud. All is as it was before, but underneath Amelia de Crèvecoeur, you read, a friend in the darkness. You ask if it's going to be okay. It nods. Well, maybe you haven't convinced me to take the soak, but you've given me something to think about, and I'm grateful for that. You turn the smile of the pin you put on your shirt upside down. Something emerges that sounds like a muffled but real laugh as it says farewell. They wave as you walk away. You wave back, but you have this strange feeling you will see them again. And you turn your focus to the subterranean city of infinity's glimmering gates. Thanks for listening, and visit us next week for more quiet adventures at A Story Whispered.